So you're here because you want to really get to grips with something, cut through the noise, right? Today, we're really zeroing in on a skill that can feel, well, pretty tricky sometimes. Understanding spoken English.
Yeah, fluently understanding it. And we're diving deep into a very practical method.
Right.
It's this 7-day English listening challenge from our source material. It seems like it could deliver real progress if, you stick with it.
Exactly. So think of this as like your focused guide to that challenge.
Okay.
Our mission here is to pull out the key ideas, the actionable steps.
Sort of a shortcut to better listening comprehension.
Yeah, unlock that understanding.
And it's such a common thing, isn't it? This frustration.
No, definitely.
You can read English fine, maybe write it pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
but then you hear a real conversation and suddenly feels like, wow, this is totally different.
Yeah, a different language almost. Okay, so let's get into that. Why? Why does that happen? Why do our ears sometimes seem to, I don't know, fail us, even when the words look familiar on a page? What's going on there?
Well, the source points to a few key reasons. One is just speed.
Right. Native speakers can talk really fast.
Yeah, it can just sound like a blur, words just running together.
Uh-huh.
Then there's all the casual language, slang, idioms, stuff you don't always find in textbooks.
Like a whole secret vocabulary.
Sort of. And then there's how words link up, that blending sound.
Connected speech, right.
Precisely. Like, think about going to.
Becomes goner.
Exactly. Or what do you want can sound like what I want.
Right.
Those little shifts, those connections, they can really confuse someone who's expecting like clear pauses between every word.
Like hearing music versus seeing the separate notes written down.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. The notes run together in the performance.
So it's not just knowing the words in grammar.
No.
It's about hearing them and processing them as they're actually used in real life.
You've got to train the ears too, not just the brain, visually.
Train the ears.
That's really what this 7-day challenge seems to be about. Actively working those auditory skills.
Getting your ears used to how English actually sounds.
Exactly. The real flow and rhythm of it.
Okay, so let's break down this challenge day by day. Let's pull out the insights that you, listening, can really use. Day 1. Listening for the big picture.
Okay.
What's the main idea here?
Well, the focus, and this is quite smart, I think, is on getting the general meaning first.
Not every single word.
Right. Don't get bogged down. Just listen to a short clip and try to figure out, okay, what's the main topic? Who's talking? What's the sort of emotional vibe?
The general feeling. So
Yeah.
it's like getting the gist first. That sounds like a good way to avoid feeling totally lost at the start.
Definitely. It avoids that overwhelm.
Like you said, looking at a painting from a distance first. Get the overall impression before you lean in close.
Exactly. It builds a base, gives you some confidence before you start dissecting it.
Okay, makes sense. So, day 2 then. It ramps things up with repeat what you hear. Shadowing.
Ah, yes. Shadowing.
Can you explain that? What makes shadowing work?
Well, shadowing is, it's pretty active. You listen to a short bit of audio,
Yeah.
and you try to repeat it immediately, out loud, almost at the same time. Like your voice is the speaker's shadow.
Okay, so you're talking along with the recording.
Pretty much, yeah. And what's interesting is how it forces your brain to process the sound in real time.
How so?
It sort of bypasses that little internal translator voice that can slow you down.
Oh.
You're building muscle memory for the sounds, the rhythm, the intonation.
Like learning dance steps by just doing them right after the teacher.
Exactly. You're not just watching, you're doing. You're physically engaging.
So you're not just listening passively. You're actively producing the sounds. How does that loop back to better listening then?
Because by trying to make those sounds yourself, the rhythm, the pitch changes, the pronunciation, you become much more aware of them when you hear them again.
Ah, I see.
Your mouth and ears start working together, basically, to decode the language.
Got it. Okay, day 3. This one is write what you hear. Dictation.
Right.
Sounds like this needs real concentration.
It does. It's focused listening. The idea is simple. Listen to a short clip, maybe just a sentence or two, and try to write down exactly what you hear, word for word.
And that helps because...
Fantastic for pinpointing exactly where you're struggling. Where does your understanding break down?
Because you have to actually turn each sound into a word on the page.
Yes. And then the crucial part, according to the source,
What's that?
you must compare what you wrote to the actual transcript or subtitles afterwards.
Ah, okay. The feedback loop.
Precisely. That shows you exactly what you missed. Was it a word you didn't know? Did you mishear something because of how it was pronounced or linked?
That makes sense. Identifying the specific gaps.
Yep.
All right, day 4. This zooms in on linking and reductions.
Uh-huh.
This feels like where we really get into that natural, maybe faster spoken English.
Absolutely. This is key. Understanding how everyday English often shortens words.
Like wanna for want to.
Exactly. Or gonna for going to. And how words blend. Like, did you eat yet? Might sound like jeet jet.
Right. Those connections.
These reductions and links, they're a huge hurdle. If you're mainly used to, very clear, separate words like in some learning materials.
So the goal for this day is specifically training your ear to catch these things.
Yes. Actively listen for them. Try to notice when words are shortened or run together.
And how does that help long term?
Well, you just get used to it. It becomes more familiar. Your brain starts to expect these patterns, so you're not thrown off when you hear them. It makes understanding natural speech much easier.
Okay. Day 5 then takes us global. Listening to different accents. Why is that so important?
Well, English is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
It's spoken by people all over the world.
True.
And everyone has their own accent, their own rhythm. The source mentions UK, Australian, Indian, South African accents as examples. Getting exposure to these different sounds doesn't just help you understand those specific accents.
It does more.
Yeah, it trains your brain to be more flexible with sounds in general, more adaptable. It makes you a more resilient listener overall, I think.
I can imagine feeling pretty lost, though, hearing a really strong, unfamiliar accent for the first time.
Oh, for sure.
So is the goal here to understand everything right away?
Not necessarily, no. The main goal on this day is just exposure, familiarization.
Okay.
Get your ear used to the different possibilities, the different music of the language, if you like.
Just hearing the variations.
Exactly. Even if comprehension isn't 100%, the exposure itself builds that flexibility.
Got it. Day 6 moves to actively testing understanding, answering comprehension questions.
Right. This shifts things a bit.
How so?
It makes you engage with the meaning, not just the sounds.
Okay.
You're listening to extract information. The source suggests listening to maybe a podcast segment or a short video, and then actually answering specific questions about it. What was the main point? What details were mentioned? What was the speaker's opinion?
And you can make up your own questions, maybe.
Yeah.
Or have someone ask you.
Yeah, exactly. The key is the active recall.
And having to answer forces you to process it more deeply, right? To remember the key bits.
Precisely. You move from just hearing sounds to actually understanding the message and pulling out what's relevant.
Okay. And the last day, day 7, is the big one. A full listening day.
Yeah, immersion time.
What does that actually mean? Just listen to English all day.
Kind of. It's about creating an environment where English is just comforting around you.
So podcasts while commuting, music while working, maybe a series in the evening.
Exactly. Surround yourself with it as much as you reasonably can. Make it ambient.
Okay.
And the source gives a helpful tip. Maybe start with English subtitles on if you're watching something.
As a bit of a support.
Yeah, as a potential aid, especially at first. It just makes English a constant presence, helping your brain tune in more naturally.
Like getting used to the background noise in a new city. Eventually you just filter it correctly.
Something like that, yeah. It's about habituation and letting your brain adapt over time.
Okay, so that's the challenge structure. Now the source also hits on some common listener questions. This big one. I can read English okay, but conversations just fly past me. What's the core advice for that?
Well, it really circles back to what the challenge is built on. Consistent, focused listening practice.
Using those techniques like short clips, shadowing.
Exactly. You have to actively build that bridge between reading skills and listening skills. They're different muscles.
Right.
And the message is also, don't get discouraged. It takes time. Focus on progress, not perfection. Small, steady steps.
Okay. And the subtitle, debate. Use them. Don't use them.
The source suggests a practical approach. Use English subtitles first, perhaps.
As a learning tool.
Yeah, as a support to help you connect sounds to words. But then, and this is key, try watching or listening again without them.
To actually test your ear.
Exactly. See how much you're catching on your own. Use them strategically. Don't just leave them on as a crutch forever.
That makes sense. Use them to learn, then test yourself without.
Right.
So if we were to boil everything down, what are the absolute key principles for better listening from this source?
Okay, 3 main takeaways, really practical ones. First, start small. Short clips.
Like 1 minute.
Even just 1 minute, yeah. It's less daunting and very effective. Second, repeat. Listen to the same clip multiple times.
Why multiple times?
Repetition lets your brain catch things it missed the first time, nuances in pronunciation, linking. And third, and this is really important for sticking with it, choose stuff you actually like.
Things you're interested in.
Yeah. Music, sports, cooking, news, whatever. If you're engaged, you'll keep doing it. Motivation is key.
So short clips, repetition, and interesting topics.
That's the core recipe.
And the big underlying idea seems to be consistency over cramming, right?
Oh, absolutely. The source really hammers this home. Short, daily practice beats long, infrequent sessions every time.
Little and often.
Exactly. Think of it like exercise. Consistent small workouts yield much better results over time than one massive gym session once a month.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
So for you listening, maybe think about how you could weave some of these ideas from the 7-day challenge into your own routine.
Yeah, it's a structured approach. It gives you concrete things to do.
Right. Actively training your ears, not just passively hoping they'll get better. And maybe that leads to a final thought for you to chew on.
Okay.
How might really focusing on improving your listening, how might that open up new doors for you with English?
That's interesting.
Think about the podcasts you could understand fully, the nuances you'd catch in conversations, maybe understanding different viewpoints better.
Yeah, accessing more content, having richer interactions.
Exactly. What could you unlock just by sharpening that ability to truly hear and understand?